welcome our next presenter, Miss June Maridable, and she'd like to be called as CJ. So we'd like to welcome CJ for her presentation, and the title is Reading for Beginners. So Cherry, the floor is yours. Please take it away.
Thank you, Sir Mother. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is CJ. I am from the Philippines, but currently I am living here in Vietnam. So my presentation might not be the same as others because it focuses more with the beginners, okay? But then I would like to share my experiences with you while teaching beginners, as well as teaching young learners for the span of 16 years in this country. Okay, to start with, I would like to bring your attention to things that we need to consider if we will be teaching beginners. So the first one there, we need to be sensitive to their moods. Second, we need to allow them to choose a book that they like. And the third one, never disrupt them while they are reading. So I will explain the reasons for this one. So the first is be sensitive to the reading needs of your students. We all know that reading is a process that takes their mind to another realm. So they could either be happy or sad. Just like us, sometimes we will be asked by our friends, which one do you like, coffee or tea? And if you're a coffee lover, of course you would say, I would like to have a cup of coffee. But if that friend of yours would give you like tea, maybe you would feel sad because your preference is coffee, not tea. So the same with our students. They also have their reading needs, so we need to be sensitive to that one. Because the book that we choose for them could either make them happy or it could make them sad. Why we have to consider their feelings? So first, as I was teaching these small kids, I have realized that they are precious like angels. So their heart might be very small or their mind might be very small. And then we could say that if that's too small, then their feelings could be the same. So as they choose to read a book, for example, this book, let's allow them to explore with their abilities. Okay, because as I mentioned, they are too sensitive. So if they will choose this book, let them. Do not get it from them. They might be happy or sad if you will impose to them the specific book that you think is suitable for their age. Second one is allow them to choose the book that they like. So we should learn how to give them a chance to choose for themselves. So there are two books that I have here. It might be that they would like this book or this book. Just let them. Okay, so if we think that the choices that they made are not suitable for their age, then we can guide them. But this guidance must not come directly on the spot, but it should be given later. And what's the reason for this one? First is we are giving them a chance to explore their ideas through pictures that they see. So let's say this book is entitled Mixed, Mixed, Mix. Okay, this is a phonics book, Oxford Reading 3 actually. So it says here, Bob Bog has a big pen and a lot of tins. So if they will see this picture here, they would be able to explore. They would be able to see things maybe different from us, but then they have their own mind. So we are giving them a chance to explore their own ideas regarding the picture that they see. Maybe to us, it sounds funny, but to them, it's everything. Okay, they have their unique reactions to their pictures, which we ourselves can be reminded of. Now we are adults. Maybe we're no longer like, maybe our heart could be like young kids, but then we cannot deny the fact that our reaction to children's book might not be the same as our kids or our students who are really young. And then we might be able to see the beauty of them reading. I don't know how many of you have seen your kids reading. Okay, I don't know how many of you have seen your students reading patiently, maybe sitting on the bench, sitting near your bookshelf, maybe sitting around the street. But I have seen a lot of my students, they're doing this one. We are all busy that maybe we are too focused with our students rather than our kids that we don't see them reading. Maybe some they do, but I know majority, we didn't have that much chance because we're too focused of our responsibilities to other kids, not our own kids or students. I will tell you a story of a young boy, actually he's a Korean boy, who chose books for himself to read. Okay, it was 1 year ago when I had this student, let's call him Doha. He is a Korean boy who is 3 years old. On our first day of class, as I usually do, I lay down several books for him to read. I know that Doha cannot read. So I asked him to choose books that he would like to take. He was 3 years old, as I mentioned. And he chose the big ones which had an apple picture in it. Maybe the apple really caught his attention, so he picked it up. Then after a few minutes of checking, he chose another book, to which he stared for quite some time. It is a dinosaur book for a 15-year-old kid. So his eyes were excited. So he was browsing, was checking on it, and he started describing them. Knowing that he's just 3 years old, when he opened and saw the picture of big dinosaurs, his eyes were really like shimmering. And then he said, big dinosaurs, blue eyes, red ones, long tail, ugly, beautiful, kyupta. So if you've been to Korea, you know what is kyupta. Okay, kyupta means cute in Korean language. So he was really in his like high mood, let's say, like he was really very happy just looking at the book. But that book is for a 15-year-old. According to the writer of that book, this book is intended for 15 years old and above. But then Doha was just 3 years old. I did not stop him there because I know that his mind, his mood wasn't reading at that time. The third one, as I mentioned, never disrupt them while they are reading. Disrupting kids while reading could discourage them to read more. This happened in Korean school 18 years ago. I had this student, her name is Chua, and she was reading near our library inside the school premises. And then a teacher came to her and asked her, hey, Chua, what are you doing? And Chua was like terrified. She was holding the book, but she was terrified. She was too young to answer the teacher. And then another teacher came and asked her, would you like to read a book? And she said, no. Until such time, like I was too disturbed. So I came closer to her and asked her, hey, Chua, do you want to read a book with teacher? And then she said, no, I don't want. Day after day, I asked her, Chua, would you like to read a book with teacher? She would say, no, I don't want. Now Chua has grown up and she's now in Korea. She's back to Korea. I still have this connection with her. Every time I asked her, how is your reading life? Do you want to read some books? Teacher can recommend you some books. She would always say, no. Disrupting kids while they are reading could lead them to inability to focus. So it means that they would tend to avoid reading to the fullest as they could feel maybe that they are being checked. So we should not disrupt our students. We should not disturb young kids while they are reading. Don't tell them, go to bed. Don't tell them, go back to your classroom while kids are reading. You can just pass by, let them do what they want. This is something that we need to know. Like we are in this extensive reading program. Maybe we just don't know where did it start, why some kids, they don't want to read, while others, they just love reading. The history of the child has something to do with the performance that they have now in extensive reading, and that could really affect. Once you have a student who loves reading, recommend more books to that student. How about those kids who has no attention to reading? They don't love reading. What shall we do with them? So we can encourage them slowly. We need to encourage the parents to do the same, asking the parents, would you mind helping your kids grow in reading? So let's say these kids that we're talking about, they don't know how to read. Let's say they're just 4 years old, 5 years old, 6 years old. What shall we do with them? In my experience, I've taught them the English alphabet. So let's say you're teaching your kids how to read in Thai, how to read in Indonesian, how to read in Korean, then teach them the alphabet of those languages. For me, because I'm teaching English to my students, English reading, so I've taught them the English alphabet first. So if it will take time for you to teach them, it doesn't matter. As long as they know the English alphabet, everything will just follow. So if it requires you to sing, then sing with them. You can sing the English alphabet with them. We all know how to sing, right? So we can start by singing A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, and Z. So sometimes through singing, you can win their heart. You have to feel that you are of the same level as them when you are teaching, convincing them how to read. Otherwise, they will just ignore. They would think that you are their teacher, you are superior than them. So in reading, it's the same way. We have to level with our students. We enforce them to do this, then we should also consider their feelings. We should also go down to their level so that we will understand them. So for that cause, you have to teach them the English alphabet if you want them to read later. Secondly, allow them to master the sounds of every letter. So we know that the English alphabets have these vowels and consonants, then teach them the sound. So let's say we'll start with the vowels. So teach them the sound, a, e, i, o, u. The consonants, b, k, d, g, h, j, k, l, m, n, p, r, s, t, v, w, x, y, z. Allow them to master these sounds. Why? They will be able to read using consonant and vowel blend. So let's say A and D, A, D, ad, A, M, M, A, N, N, S, S, at, at. It would be easier for them if they master the consonant and vowel sounds until they will be able to read, okay, using the 3-letter sound. B, at, bat, k, at, cat, f, at, fat, m, at, mat, r, at, rat, v, at, vat. There won't be a reason that they won't be able to read because they master the sound until you can teach them phrases already. The cat, the mat, the man, the rat, the hat. We know that da is sight word, so teach them more sight words that you think fit for their level so that they will be encouraged to read more later until they will be able to read sentences. The cat is fat, the mat is red, the man can run, the rat is on the mat, the man has a hat. You can ask them questions, follow-up questions later. Is the fat cat? What is fat? What's the color of the mat? Can a man run? Where's the rat? Who has a hat? You can check their understanding by asking questions later, even though they are small, but because you have trained them on these things, so it's like exercising their critical thinking at the younger age until they will finally be able to read short story. Okay, I have this picture here. So there was a man named Jan. He has a red car, he drives to the farm, he loves to joke, so everyone loves him. So by just simply following those steps until they will reach this stage of reading short stories, you are already encouraging them to read more until eventually they will be confident enough to read more books. Okay, like in 2019, while I was in Taiwan, I had a chance checking some books for beginners. So some of them I'm really using in my classroom or with my private lessons with my students. Though I am teaching in the university, but I have private lessons, I have language schools where I worked with, and I am teaching younger learners there. So I have experienced the joy of teaching younger learners through using like books that are really good for their level. So we have these level up books, level 1 to level 9, for example, the graded learners. So through this, there's no reason for them to hate reading. So as I mentioned, you have to teach them how to read story. So after reading the story, you can ask them questions. What's the name of the man? They would say Jan. Others would say, oh, his name is Jan. Sometimes they would ask you a question. Teacher, is he a boy or a girl? Is he a man or a woman? And then you can talk more about that. So you can ask questions. What's the color of the car? So they would say, oh, it's red. Where does he drive? Where does he go? Where is he going? Okay, and then why does people love him? Why everyone loves this guy? Then you can give the answer, oh, because he loves to joke. This is just a simple story maybe, but it looks too simple for us. But for kids, some kids would have a hard time understanding it. That's why books with pictures are really good for younger ones. Okay, do not give kids pictures without books without pictures if they are small. Okay, so some are interested. I have some kids like around 7 years old, but he's reading encyclopedias. I have these kids who is 12 years old, but still she's reading kids' book. Okay, some kids I'm still training how to read. So I have phonics books for them. So sometimes we cannot really like underestimate the power of simple reading, and we cannot really underestimate the power of teaching them how to read, because eventually in life they will become extensive readers like us, like you, like me. So let's grab the chance that we have while training younger kids, your own kids, to read. Okay, like I have these nieces. One can read, the other cannot. But the 2-year-old niece is following the other niece who is 5 years old. She would grab a book and just open it and read. These days, the older niece would take a video of her reading. So she would say, we will start. Then she will begin reading. Actually, she doesn't know how to read, but she's looking at the picture and describing the picture. If you want to see the video of that one, I can show that to you later. You can email me through this email address, coffeefellowship8@gmail.com, just in case you want to see, you want to learn more, you want to hear my experiences in teaching young learners, or like if you have further questions, so I can connect with you through the breakout rooms, or you can also email me through coffeefellowship8@gmail.com. So thank you for listening to my presentation. It's too short, and I know that maybe not many are doing this in the classroom, but looking forward to more people who would really give attention to younger learners, especially in training them how to read and encouraging them how to become good extensive readers in the future. Thank you very much.
Okay, CJ. Before we take any questions, may I request all the audience to please unmute and put our hands together for CJ for a wonderful, engaging, and a captivating presentation.